Have you ever walked along a hiking trail and wondered who first trod that path? Was it an animal? A hunter? A trader? The story of humanity is written not just in stone and parchment, but in the very dirt beneath our feet. It's a story of movement, of connection, and of the endless desire to see what lies beyond the horizon. This is the story of the paths that made us. Long before we built cities or planted crops, we were walkers. Our earliest ancestors were nomadic hunter-gatherers, constantly on the move. Their journeys weren't random wanderings. They followed the seasons, the migration of animals, and the availability of resources. These repeated movements etched the first human trails into the landscape. Imagine, 200,000 years ago, a small group of Homo sapiens in East Africa. They are following a herd of gazelles, their feet treading the same ground their parents and grandparents trod. This path, worn smooth by generations of use, leads to a reliable water source. It's a lifeline. These simple desire lines, connecting points of survival, were our first infrastructure. They were the arteries of the Paleolithic world. Then, something incredible happened. Around 70,000 years ago, some of these groups began to venture further than ever before. This is what we call the out of Africa migration. It wasn't a single, organized expedition. It was a slow generational trickle, a diffusion of people across the globe. They followed coastlines, chased game across land bridges, and pushed into unknown territories. Each step they took created a new link in a chain that would eventually encircle the planet. The paths they forged, from Africa to Asia, across the Bering Strait into the Americas, and down to the tip of South America, represent the greatest journey in human history. They weren't just moving their bodies. They were carrying culture, language, and the spark of innovation with them. As societies became more complex and settled, the nature of our paths changed. With the rise of agriculture and the first cities, paths were no longer just for survival. They became conduits for something new. Trade. People now had surplus goods pottery tools, grain, and a desire for things they couldn't produce themselves, like salt, obsidian, or precious metals. Ancient trade routes began to form, connecting distant communities. Think of the Amber Road in Europe, bringing precious Baltic amber down to the Mediterranean, or the tin route that supplied the Bronze Age with the essential ingredient for making bronze. These weren't paved highways. They were often treacherous, poorly marked trails navigated by seasoned merchants in their caravans. These traders were the pioneers of their day. They carried not just goods, but news, stories, and ideas. A new pottery technique from one village could travel hundreds of miles along a trade route, inspiring artisans in another. A story told around a campfire in the mountains could become a legend in the valleys below. The paths were becoming a network for the human mind. And then came the big one, the Silk Road. The name itself conjures images of endless deserts, bustling oases, and caravans laden with exotic treasures. And for good reason. The Silk Road wasn't a single road, but a vast network of interconnected trade routes that, for over 1,500 years, linked the mighty empires of China and Rome. From the east came silk, so valuable it was worth its weight in gold. From the west came glassware, wool, and silver. But the most valuable things exchanged on the Silk Road weren't goods you could hold. Buddhism traveled from India to China along these paths. Papermaking technology moved from China to the Islamic world and then to Europe, changing literacy forever. These paths facilitated a global exchange of knowledge. Mathematics, astronomy, medicine all flowed along these dusty trails. But they also carried disease. The Black Death, which devastated Europe in the 14th century, likely traveled from Asia along these same trade routes. A grim reminder that connection has always come with risks. In the Americas, an equally impressive network was taking shape. The Inca Empire, stretching along the Andes Mountains, was held together by a sophisticated road system called the Capacone. This was an engineering marvel. It spanned over 25,000 miles, crossing some of the most challenging terrain on Earth. From coastal deserts to 15,000-foot mountain passes, it featured rope suspension bridges, stone-paved stairways, and tambos, or rest houses placed a day's walk apart. But this incredible network wasn't for public use. It was the exclusive domain of the empire. Armies, officials, and Chasqui highly trained relay runners along these roads, carrying messages and maintaining control over a vast and diverse territory. The Inca road system shows us that paths aren't just for trade. They are instruments of power and control. They define who can move where, who has access, and who is kept out. The Roman road network served a similar purpose, famously straight and durable. These roads were built by the military. For the military, their primary function was to move legions quickly to any corner of the empire to quell rebellions or defend borders. The saying "all roads lead to Rome" was literally true. The entire system was designed to project Roman power outward from the capital. But in doing so, it also fostered unprecedented economic and cultural unity across the Mediterranean world. As the age of exploration dawned, our paths took to the seas, but the old land routes didn't disappear. Instead, they adapted. They led people to ports and connected inland resources to coastal trading posts. The desire for new sea routes to the spices of the East was, in fact, driven by the high cost and danger of the old land routes controlled by rival empires. The discovery of the New World and new sea routes around Africa didn't just create new paths. They redrew the map of global power. Wealth and influence shifted from the hubs of the Silk Road to the Atlantic port cities of Europe. The world was becoming more connected than ever, but it was a connection forged through conquest and colonization. And what about today? We live in a world of superhighways, bullet trains, and instant digital communication. It might seem like the ancient dirt trails had become obsolete, relics of a bygone era. But look closer. Many of our modern highways still follow the gentle gradients and logical routes of ancient footpaths and wagon trails. The next time you're on a country road, notice its winding path. It likely bends around a hill or follows a river, not for scenic effect, but because that was the easiest path for a person, an animal, or a cart to take centuries ago. These ghost paths are all around us, hidden in plain sight. The paths we walk tell the story of who we are. They are a testament to our curiosity, our ambition, our need for connection, and our relentless drive to move forward. From the first footprint in the African dust to the global network that binds us today, our journey as a species has always been defined by the paths we create. So next time you're out for a walk, take a moment to think about the countless feet that have passed that way before you. You're not just walking on a path, you're walking through history. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow our journey for more stories about our incredible world.